Hi BookTube! So if you've watched my last two vlogs, you'll have seen that I have been out and about for a little bit because it was my birthday weekend, so I basically took it as a early birthday slash early Christmas present to myself because it's been a bit since I went to bookstores. In fact, I think it's been 2 months, so I was ready to go, and I used a lot of my store credits, so most of these books were free, so it's hard to say no to that kind of situation. And I've gotten 3 bags of books to show you. But yeah, I had a really nice weekend. I had some nice lunches, and I went on some nice walks with Fable Girl. And yeah, so sorry for the bad lighting. It looks really red for me, but even though it's like the middle of the day right now, there's no sun to speak of whatsoever, and it's very dark outside. So just using what I have, but that's per the course. With all of my videos, I feel like with bad lighting. But before I get into the books, I thought I would show something I got that wasn't a book. This is a coaster, and it has all of the Powell's and Portland things. So you have Mount Hood, and then you have the sign that actually showed on one of my vlogs. It just happened I didn't plan it, but it just happened to be driving by, like their welcome to Portland sign with the Old Town, and then it has like the little like mill looking thing here with pine trees, and then you have Powell's, of course, on the corner. So I thought this would be a really cute coaster. And let's see, so what do I have here? I'm just going to start with the very first bag. So yeah, the first bag or books I got from Little Free Libraries, because of course, like me, I always have a bag of books in my car. If I happen to drive by at Little Free Library, then I'm like, I have books ready to exchange. And so actually when I went to go do that, I think it was the Portland vlog that I filmed, there was a cat that popped up out of nowhere, and right when I was getting to walk, and oh my goodness, it was, I think one of the commenters was talking about how they thought I was going to take the cat home for a second. And I would have if it wasn't scared of people and it wasn't skinny or like scruffy at all. So I'm hoping that it had a place to go, because I hate seeing, and it's, so I think I mentioned before in one of the other videos how common it is to see dogs running around off leash. And most of the time, at least, the owner is somewhere in the vicinity, but I didn't see anyone with the cat. I'm just hoping it had a home. But anyway, if I happen to see it again, I'm like, I don't know, it's really hard because I don't want to take someone's cat. At the same time, I'm like, do these people deserve this cat when they're just walking around like that area I was in like a housing area, but it was right close. Like you could see the busy street right from where I was at if you turn in the other direction. So it just annoys me. But anyway, so I got, so yeah, going back to what I was saying, starting with some Little Free Library books. I didn't get too many. I was trying to be very careful with my picks. But this was like an older Harper trophy book, and the cover is supposed to be like a little girl, but with the lighting and then the face, she looks like, I don't know, she's like 8 going on 80 for some reason. But when I looked at this book, and I checked on Goodreads and to see if I've read anything by this author before, and several people were talking about how this is one of their favorite books as a kid, and they were constantly rereading it. So I've never heard of this author before. And the book, like the description doesn't exactly win me over, but I skimmed through it a little bit. I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And if not, you can send it right back to the Little Free Library. But it's Katie hates boys, and so she starts a boy hating club of America. And so all the girls join in the club, and I'm sure something happens. But the New York Times says it's full of high humor, credibility, and a fine feeling for family. So yeah, I'll give this a go. And then the other book is a Newbery Award winner, Roller Skates by Ruth Sawyer. And I try to read the books in order. So this book came out, I think, in the 1930s. But I was trying to just read what was available at my library. And if it was really hard to find it, then I was just, okay, if I just stumble upon it, then I'll read it. But I'm not going to search out individually as I'm going through the years. But let me see here. Yeah, this came out in 1936, so I think right now I've completely lost track, but I know I'm way past 1930s. But yeah, now I can just go back and read this one. But this is Lucinda's year in New York City. Began with her family, began when her family went to Europe and left her. Not thank heaven with Aunt Emily and her 4 docile, ladylike daughters, but with Miss Peters, who understood that a girl of 10 wants to roller skate. So yeah. And I really didn't even read the description on this. I just knew I hadn't read the book and that it was a Newbery Award winner. So that's all I needed to bring it home. Some of these older books, and even some like that, the newest ones, but some of the newer ones are hard to find because they're not available digitally or at my library. This next one is Wheat Country by Grant Hellman, and it's full of pictures of basically agriculture in the plains, like the middle states. And well, there's actually a little inscription here. Someone got this book in 1977, and it says, "Dear Tom, my birthday wish to you is that you spend the happiest of your future days as the happiest of your past days in wheat country." So maybe this person was from the wheat country. But yeah, it's just full of pictures. So it's like mostly a picture book, but it looks interesting enough. Like a coffee table kind of book. But there is some, mostly like the writing seems to be the photo descriptions. But yeah, something cool to flip through. I've driven through like the wheat country, the middle of the states, and even here in Oregon. Like once you get out of the cities, there's a lot of farming. So yeah, actually, when mentioning the vlogs again, the Salem Independence vlog, when I was driving through, once you get out of Portland, you're getting to like Portland's already in the Willamette Valley, but that area has a lot of farming. So you can see like all the mountains all around, but it's like flat with all like the farming and stuff. And so even that little area, it feels kind of like that as well. Even though it's not as flat, because again, you have the mountains like right there in the distance. And let's see here. This next one is a Christmas magazine, and I don't subscribe to any magazines, but I was like, why not get this one? This is Country Living, Comfort and Joy. So yeah, I don't know if I've ever even read a Comfort and Joy, I mean Country Living magazine, but yeah, it'd just be cool to flip through and see what all they have. I know my library, like through Hoopla, I think you can get like a magazine package. And I'm trying to find something else to show you. There's lots of ads, which is like one of the reasons why I don't get magazines. But they offer like a package where you can get 5 or 10 magazines all in one go, like a pass. And it lasts, I think it's as long as the library book, like 21 days. I could be wrong, but I do want to check that out at some point. Okay, so going into the books that I have purchased. Let's see here. Okay, so these are ones that I got on day 2 of my outing going to Salem and Independence, Oregon. So the first 2 books are like throwback books for me of childhood, and this is Sweet Valley High, Murder on the Line. It's a super thriller. I am not collecting the Sweet Valley High books, like the number like 1 through 200 and something it feels like, because all of those are available on Kindle through the Amazon store. And so, but the special editions aren't. So even though they had like maybe 50 of the Sweet Valley High books, I didn't want to get those, but I did want to get the special edition. So I have this one, and I don't know if I've ever read this before. I've read a couple of the thrillers in like the Sweet Valley University ones, but not this one. This is one I have read though. It's Sweet Valley Saga, The Wakefield Legacy, The Untold Story. So this is like basically like the generational history of the Wakefield sisters. And for people, I'm mentioning this series like you know what I'm talking about. But this is following, sorry, Fable's licking the bag. But I just want to make sure she's not licking the books. But this is following 2 twins who are 16 years old and, oh, 1 second. Fable girl, she's just investigating everything. But, yeah, so two twin sisters, 16 years old in Southern California, and their life is well and good, whereas like the one sister wants to be a writer, and she's like the goody two-shoes almost compared to the evil sister Jessica, who is conniving and manipulative and full of drama and lies, and so yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to see what all they get up to. And often Jessica, the evil one, is looping in Elizabeth, although sometimes Elizabeth makes stupid decisions as well. Switching gears completely, School Marms by Helen Guten-Rees. This is a very short book, but I thought it was fascinating to read about anything to do with like history of teaching or like the conditions they taught in and things like that. And this is also full of illustrations on how they dressed with like the bonnets and the hair, and it's there's letters in here as well. And so it goes through, even though it's a really small book, I feel like it covers a lot. So let me see here. Let me skip through to the table of contents. So you have like your beginning of your career, letters, and then you have teaching out of high school. So yeah, this sounded right up my alley. And it has tons of illustrations. Oh, there's also diary entries, So yeah, I want to see if this author has produced something more than 56 pages. Maybe maybe she went on to write more. We'll have to see. Martha Berry, it says, Martha Berry, a woman of courageous spirit and bold dreams, a biography of Joyce Blackburn. And let's see here. This is the life story of one of the most far-sighted pioneers in education. It's inspiring and fascinating. So starting out with a tiny log cabin, Martha Berry devoted her life to building a school where underprivileged children could be taught a vocation along with academic studies. And her first teaching was in the poor mountain area of Georgia. And let's see, did she go on? Oh, and then she went on to this is Berry College. So eventually, she went from teaching at a little small school in a cabin to creating her a college, I guess. So yeah, I don't know anything about her, but I'm gonna learn about her during this biography. This next one is one I do know about. Hal Borland, country editor's boy. He does a lot of nature writing or like Connecticut specific things, and this is about his. I believe this is like his memoir autobiography of his childhood years. Let's see here. Yeah, it recalls the years from 1915 to 1918 when the family moved from Flagler, Colorado. When his whatever. I thought people was carrying off one of the books, but no. She's got a big bow and she's gonna gnaw on, which is a very good girl. Good choice. She's very good with not chewing on books, but me talking gets her excited sometimes. But anyway, yeah. So sorry if you hear some chewing going on. But the family's moving from Flagler, Colorado, when his father is the owner and editor of a weekly newspaper, and so they're doing some projects in the West. So this will be a different kind of book than what I have read in the past, where it's more like centrally focused on his older years when he's established in his own career and things like that. Okay. This next one is another author I recognize. Vermont is Always With You by Marguerite Hurry Wolf. I just read a couple of weeks ago. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see. I recognize the cover. I mean, I know what the cover is. It's like an orangey yellow cover. But now, of course, when I need to find it, I can't. Oh, I know why. Because I have a shelf back here I created for books that I have read throughout the month. So this is what I literally read this month. I'll take the back row. And this is about her going from a Vermont vacationer or summer vacation destination to her becoming full-time Vermont resident. And so this is more writings from that, like the beautiful Vermont cover. And let me see here. And I had no idea would be able to find any more for her books. She's written a couple all on Vermont. So let me see what this one is about. Not that it exactly matters. Because all I need to know is like Vermont, small town, getting to know the area. That's really all I need. So this is a collection of 30 humorous and spirited pieces about the Wolf family and their adventures in Vermont, Boston, New York, and Kansas. Okay, because it did mention in this book how they moved around a little bit because her husband was a doctor, and so he got not stationed, but got offered different positions all over the place, different hospitals, I think universities as well. So this is, I guess, before they had really settled in Vermont. Okay, let's see. A biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder by William Anderson. I was happy to find a hardcover of this. William Anderson wrote a lot of Laura Ingalls Wilder specific nonfiction, a lot of times pamphlets. Although this is a bit of a bigger book of his, but let me see if I can find like a list of his work. Yeah, this one only gives me 2, but although I know he's written like at least 10 or 20, so yeah. Happy to add that. I have like several biographies of her on my shelf, like going like all expansive, like in depth, hundreds of pages, to like children's biographies. Let me see. This next one doesn't have a dust jacket, but it's Hearth in the Snow by Laura Buchan and Jerry Allen. And it didn't have a description, but I was just flipping through it and it sounded interesting. But it's all about their time in Alaska, like those Alaska mountains, and like getting to know the people there. Is there any illustrations? No, there's not. But yeah, this is any book on Alaska, like I'm interested in, and when I was flipping through it at the time, it sounded cool enough. So it was just a couple of dollars. So I got that. Okay, this next one is again an author that I recognize because, in fact, right now I'm reading book 1 in this series by Van Wyck Brooks. And so this one is, because I'm reading right now from 1815 to 1865, and so this one goes from 1865 to 1915, and this is called New England Indian Summer, and the first book is The Flowering of New England. And so even though it's like a history of the area, it's focused specifically on the literary history of Boston. It includes, like, you know, Western Massachusetts and New Hampshire, Vermont, and all of that, but really hones in on Boston and Salem right now. Like the book I'm reading, it's I just did a chapter on Hawthorne, and then I'm going to Margaret Fuller next. So yeah, looking forward to reading this one. I didn't know, again, I would be able to find this because I think these books are out of print, but I was like, oh, it caught my eye immediately. So happy to be able to move right on to this one once I finish the current book 1. Okay, Lemon Swamp and Other Places, a Carolina memoir by Mamie Garvin Fields and Karen Fields. I've always liked the name Mamie. It sounds so interesting, like old-timey. But yeah, and I wonder like when this book was written. 1983. Okay. But yeah, so this is like, you know, swamps and memoir and in the South, like that will immediately sign me up for that kind of book as well. This is born in Charleston, South Carolina in 1888. Mamie looks back on her family, friends, and social landscape of the segregationist South of her youth. She takes you to a one-room schoolhouse where she taught, and then she moved to Boston, working at a sweatshop, where she worked side by side with Polish and Italian immigrants. Then she moved on to a warehouse in the slums of Charleston, along the Cooper River, and yeah, so like she's lived a life. So yeah, interesting to see what all she has in store. Oh, there's a bookmark that fell out. I got this from the book bin in Salem, Oregon. So Between Grass and Sky, Where I Live and Work by Linda M. Hasselstrom. I have a couple books by her now. I think this adds to one other book I got. I think a previous book haul actually, by this author, because she has a South Dakota ranch, and so she's written books about that and her time there and like the history of it and the nature of it as well. And then she also does a lot of editing for different variety of writers to put together like short story collections or essay collections. So yeah, happy to have another one of her books. Okay, I have a couple more books from Salem Independence. This is The Letter Book of Eliza Lucas Pinckney, 1739 to 1762, and it's edited by like some relative, Elise Pinckney. So this is kind of different from what I normally pick, but you know, 1700s would be interesting to, you know, like a little collection to read about. But let me see here. Yeah, I think it initially came out. Well, since the cloth edition came out in 1972, but I just wonder. Okay, yeah, it was published in London in 1739. Okay, yeah, because I remember reading something about that. Oh, this also has some illustrations as well. So yeah, I like reading like letters and diary collections, things like that. It's always fascinating to get into someone's, not just reading a fiction book of someone's perspective, but actually reading like their day-to-day life or correspondence from that time. Is always interesting. So this next one is A Victorian Gentlewoman in the Far West, Reminiscences of Mary Hollock Foote. So you know, kind of in a similar vein to letter collection, things like that. But let me see here. Her childhood was at a Quaker farm on the Hudson River, and she tells of her training as an artist in the 1860s. She married a mining engineer whose jobs took the couple west, right when the frontier was closing. And then she left the East, but not her career in book illustration. Okay, so that's really interesting. That she also has like, you know, this literary career as well. It's a chunky book. Lots of information here. I'm up for the challenge. Okay, so then this last bag of books is nice and hefty. And this is from Powell's. So let me get out and stuff here. Okay. So I have The Hills is Lonely and by Lillian Beckwith. There's no description at all to speak of. Is there any description inside? Because I can't remember exactly why I picked this up, even though it's been a couple, you know, it was fairly recently when I got this. But I believe it's, it might be like I think it's a lightly fictionalized tale of the own author, but let me see here. Let's see. Yeah, it is a fiction book, but yeah, I can't remember what it's about. But yeah, anyway, got this book. If maybe you know what this author or this title, I'm not sure. Because I had a list, because Powell's is so big that you have to have a list really to go in, because otherwise you just get overwhelmed. In fact, I have a map here I can show you of how big Powell's is. It's the biggest bookstore in the world, and they aren't kidding about that, because like, so there's several floors. So you walk in here in this green room, and then you have the green room, and it just goes on and on. So you have all of these, you have the first floor here, which is, and the books go from down to the floor all the way to the ceiling, the bookcases. You have the second floor, and then you have the third floor. And they have all of these sections. So like everything imaginable they'll have, and lots of it. So even though I spent 2 hours there, I didn't get near. I didn't get to browse it near as much as I would have liked to. But yeah, something you just have to go to on a regular basis really to cover everything. Sorry, look at your paper's not nibbling on anything, because I pulled out some Christmas presents. And I was showing on camera just in case they can watch the video. Don't think they will, but yeah, I didn't want to get them all jumbled up with the books. Sigurd F. Olsen of Time and Place. I had just mentioned how I have one book by him, Open Horizons, that I read, but it's the only book I've read by him, and he's like a famous naturalist. So I wanted to see what Powell's had, and of course they had this one and one other, I believe, but maybe I didn't pick up the other one. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I did get it. Okay, here we go. So I have Of Time and Place and The Lonely Land, and most of these books take place in the same area. Let me see here. So this one's like the Canadian Northwest, you know, Lake Superior area. It talks about lots of in the land of Crees, Chippewyans, Yellowknives, Dog Ribs, Hudson Bay area. Yeah. So there's that one, and then this other one is about the woodsman writer of our time, you know, Northern Lake Country. So yeah, they're kind of, you know, similar, but want to read more works. I do like his writing from the little I have read. Okay, so I got a couple of Gladys Tabor, which like I mentioned before, like she's on my radar because she's written so many books, but I only have a couple, so I was like, why not see what they have? And so this is 101 short stories by Gladys Tabor, and here she is on the back. And let me see here. So yeah, most of these short stories were published in the magazines. Will bring joy to those who continually await some new delight from Still Meadow, which is where her home is in Connecticut. And okay, yeah, so I have that, and I think I don't think they're short stories. I feel like they're more like essays, really. I'm trying to get this to go back in, but let me see. There we go. Okay, all crinkled up here. And then I have another. Let's see if I can find it. They were so interested in this bag. But I had one other book by her. I want to say, yes. So they also had her cookbook. And this was just mentioned in the book I had previously read, Country Chronicle. She mentioned the difficulties of getting this cookbook together and how it was really going to be her one and only. Although there was a second one, because Powell's itself had a second one. It was like pulling some recipes from this along with a Cape Cod recipe collection. So it's funny, like at the time she was talking about, explaining about how, you know, how much of an ordeal it was, and this would be her only one. But there is some more, but I want to get to her first one here. And I just love the older, the old-timey kind of recipes. And then this is her kitchen. And it said, the fireplace in the family room at Still Meadow was built in 1690. It makes a pleasant center for informal meals. So there's her 1690 fireplace. And it's full of recipes. I don't think there's any pictures at all, but there's it's all, it includes everything. There's like fish pudding and sea bass. There's like fish, cheese souffle, Mexican Rabbit. Oh yeah, when was this book published? Because it's always interesting too to see, you know, how food was prepared, you know, decades before. So this is from 1965, and it originally came out in 1947. Okay. So yeah, I do want to try several of these recipes. Okay. So Louise Dickinson Rich, The Peninsula. She is famous for, here we go, We Took to the Woods. And I really like this book. She went to Maine, and it's more of like getting back into the slow aspects of life and like canning your own food and living out in the wilderness kind of thing after being in a city. So this one is about, I think it's like off the coast of Maine somewhere. Again, it just doesn't have a dust jacket. So I'm going off the book here, but I want to say it's off the coast of Maine as well. But yeah, because Acadian National Park, it could be somewhere in Canada, but I was like, I couldn't find any of her. She's written, I think, 2 other books about Maine. They didn't have it there, but they did have this one. Okay. Beyond the Aspen Grove by Anne Zwinger. She, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe she is predominantly writes about the Southwest, like the canyon area, Arizona and New Mexico, California, that kind of thing. But this one doesn't take, this place is taking place in the Colorado Rockies, and yeah, so she's like a nature writer. Oh yeah, this is like lots of illustrations on the back here. But yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I can get one of her books from the library. But they didn't have this one at the library, so I was like, why not pick this up when I saw it? And I just have a couple more books to share. Just yeah, 3 more. Okay. So speaking of Laura Ingalls Wilder, I found a biography for children, and this is Little Author in the Big Woods by Yona Zeldis McDonough, and it has lots of pretty illustrations. Oh yeah, and it's full of illustrations in here as well. So yes, and the font is big, so this will take like an hour to read. But I was like, why not add that to my collection? Another book by Hal Borland, Book of Days. And this is very similar to the book I have currently on my TBR here. This Hill, This Valley, A Year of Country Living, Spring to Spring. But I can never get tired of this kind of thing. But this is following the same kind of story. You know, going through the year, you know, just his nature writing, his pondering on, you know, what's happening, you know, in his life and things like that. So, especially if it's a good writer or, you know, like a interesting location or, you know, whatever, then I'm all for it. And this last one is just beautiful. I just could not pass it up. This is Letters from Eden, A Year at Home in the Woods by Julie Zickfuss. And this is an author I've read before. She wrote a couple of years ago. Now I can't remember. It was like The Blue Jay. I can't remember the name of the bird. That she adopts a bird because she's really rehabilitating it. Will this mention? Oh, it's Jemima. There we go. That's what it is. It's like I can't remember the rest of the title though. But yeah, because this came out, you know, prior to that book. But it's something like, you know, Rescuing Jemima. But if you look up this author, then you'll be able to find her newest book. But she is a writer and an illustrator, and oh my goodness, it's full of beautiful illustrations. And as I just opened this, I realized it comes with a bookmark of a cat, and it's wooden too, so that's kind of fun. But yeah, here's a turtle, and like almost every page has these beautiful illustrations, and a bird. So yes, I could not pass this up. And again, another like collection of writings throughout the year, but I have a whole host of those books, and especially like right now, like when you're going into the end of the year or the beginning of the year, or really, who am I kidding? Any time of the year, I'll pick something up like this because it's almost like seasonal reading as well. Because when you get to the part of the year when you're currently in, it's fun to read as well. Let me see. Is there anything else I have in here? Oh, they gave me some. I guess I'll share this with you. They gave me some stickers. And I was just gonna give them to people I'm giving gifts to. So this is a bunny rat reading with a possum and a bird as well. And then I got some bookmarks. It's saying never lose your place, and it has like Mount Hood, but it's like at night and then during the day as well, with like a plain background. So yeah, that's everything I've gotten. with my giant birthday book haul. Thank you for sticking around if you did. And let me know what you think of this. But anyway, I'll talk to you later. Thanks, BookTube.